Now that we know that in the inches ruler, the longest lines or the longest ticks represent inch. Now what about this line that is there exactly in the center, exactly in the middle? If you see it carefully, it is longer as compared to the other lines. However, it is a little shorter as compared to the lines that represent inch. So this line in the center is called as the half inch. It divides 1 inch exactly into two halves. So it is also known as 1/2 inch, that is half inch. Now look at this diagram very carefully over here. If you see it carefully, you will understand that the longer lines or the longer ticks represent 1 full inch. And what is the distance between these? It is equal to 1 inch. So the distance between the inch markings is equal to 1 inch. Alright, so keep it carefully in your head. Try to remember this, that the distance between the inch markings, between 2 inch markings, is equal to 1 inch. Like for example, you have 2 inch markings over here, 5 and 6. So distance between 5 and 6 will be 1 inch. Then you have the centimeter scale over here. Now again, just like the inches scale, in centimeter scale also, the longer lines are representing the centimeter. The longer lines are used to represent centimeter. Now one thing you have to remember over here, that 1 centimeter is equal to 10 millimeter. This is very important. Now next, if you see over here, the longer lines represent centimeter. What about these small lines? These shorter lines, they represent millimeter. Alright, so the longer lines in the centimeter scale represent centimeter. However, the shorter lines, they represent millimeter. Now that we have understood the different ways of reading the scale, it is also very important to keep in mind certain precautions while measuring the length of a object using the ruler. So there are some precautions that you need to keep in mind. Otherwise, you may not get the correct or accurate results. So it is important that we use the precautionary measures. Alright? So let us see the precautions that we need to take while measuring the length using a ruler. So the first one says proper placement of scale. Now this is the first and also a very important precautionary step that we need to take. Over here, I have two figures. Let's name the first one as A and the second one as B. Now what can you see over here? How is the scale placed in the first figure and in the second figure? The first figure represents the correct position of the scale to measure the length of a block. Okay, so this is how you will place the scale in order to measure the length. You have to always remember that the scale should be placed along the length of the object to be measured. If you want to measure the length of the first box, then the scale needs to be placed like this. It needs to be placed along the length. Now look at the second figure over here, figure B. If you are going to keep your scale like this, then most probably you will get the wrong results. This is the wrong placement of the scale. So which is the correct placement of the scale? The first figure. So you should always place the scale along the length of the object whose length you need to find. So once again, proper placement of scale. How does the scale need to be placed? The scale should be placed along the length to be measured, just like the first figure. You will place it along the length. Then the second one, the scale should be placed very close to the object to be measured. Yes, now it is very important. If you want to measure the length of a block, you cannot keep it far away and you cannot measure it properly. If you do so, you may get the inaccurate results, but we are looking for the most precise and accurate results. So in such a case, you should place the scale very close to the object whose length you are trying to find. So these were the two important properties, or you can say these were the two important precautionary measures while you place your scale. Okay, so first one, the scale should be placed along the length to be measured, and second one says that the scale needs to be placed close to the object. Now this is the second case. What will happen, or how will you take the measurements if the zero of the scale is damaged? What will happen if the zero mark of the scale is damaged? Now see, due to repeated use, if the zero mark gets damaged, then now if you might have seen in your geometry box the scale that you have been using, if you use it continuously, what happens? The markings on the scale, they kind of fade away. So in such a case, how will you take the markings? Especially what will you do if the zero of the zero marking of the scale just gets erased or it gets damaged? So in such a case, what will you do? In such a case, first thing that you have to remember, if the zero mark of your scale is damaged, then first thing, do not start the measurement from zero. If something like this happens, then never start the measurement from zero. Then what will you do if you cannot start from zero? Then instead of starting the measurement from zero, start the measurement or choose any other full mark of the scale. Now if you cannot start with zero, then look for the other markings on the scale. There will be a marking which will be full, which will be extremely proper. So you choose the full mark of the scale. You choose just any one marking on the scale which is not erased, which is not damaged. You choose that. After you do that, you subtract the reading of this full mark from the reading at the other end. Now you place the scale in such a way and start measuring such that you start not from zero this time, because the zero mark is damaged. So you mark from the other, you start from the other full mark and see where you reach. Look at the end point. So then you will subtract the reading. Let us make it more clear through this example over here. Over here I have a diagrammatic representation. Kindly see it carefully. Now see over here. Suppose if my zero is damaged, okay? If my zero is damaged, that means I cannot start to measure from the zero mark. So what I do is, I look for the other full mark over here. So if you can see carefully, if the zero is not working, then let me see 1. If I look at the marking on the 1, I can see that it is pretty clear. It is good. That means I can use it. So I start measuring in such a way that I start measuring from 1. Okay. So the reading at one end is 1 centimeter. Now, what about the reading at the other end? Look at the reading properly. If you will try to measure this object, you see that the reading at the other end is equal to 5.5 centimeter. So if you want to determine the length in such a case, then what will you do? You will subtract the reading at one end from the reading of the other end. So that is 5.5 minus 1.0, that gives you 4.5. So when are you going to use this case? You are going to use this case when your zero mark is damaged. Okay. So once again, let me explain this example. It says over here that if your zero mark is damaged, then do not start the measurement from zero. Rather, look for another marking which is full, which can work properly as the starting point. So now in this example, I am not starting from 0. I am starting from 1, because say my 0 is damaged, it is not clearly seen. So I will start measuring from the mark 1. I start measuring from 1. So what is the starting point of the measurement? 1 centimeter. I write it down. what is the ending point of the measurement. The ending point, or you can say the reading at the end, is 5.5. If you look clearly, you will be able to see. Now after that, you need to find out the length. So how will you do it? By subtracting the two readings. So you get it as equal to 4.5 centimeter.